Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to have your soul shine? It's time for the Girlfriend Hour. We're so happy to have you here and we can't wait for you to meet our incredible guests. But first, please, put your hands together for our wonderful host, the enigmatic Shar Moore.
Hello, girlfriends. Who's excited about the next 60 minutes? You know, the Girlfriend Hour truly is a dream come true for me, bringing together a stellar lineup of influential, seasoned and powerful women and men to inspire and empower others. This has been my purpose, my vision and my dream, and the reason for launching Feminessence Magazine and now the Girlfriend Hour. Women's voices, our stories and our experience matter. It's by sharing our stories that we lift each other up, we inspire action and we help each other to rise to the occasion. And that is exactly what I want this next hour to deliver for you. Today we'll be exploring the theme of seizing the moment and just getting started. Life is not a dress rehearsal. It's the one and only chance you have to really leave a mark and live the life you dream of. None of this, I'll do it when, I'll wait until the time is right, until I have all my ducks in a row. Have you ever actually tried to line ducks up in a row? It's impossible. How about you just start with one and then little by little line the others up as you go. The time is right now. One of my favourite sayings is you can't steer a parked car. You've got to get out of the driveway and just start driving. The past couple of years has really highlighted the importance of not wasting time. All of a sudden, we were thrown into lockdown, learning how to pivot, how to homeschool, how to be social without being in the same room, how to bake sourdough. Did you all go through that phase too? We need to own every day. Start being a student of life rather than a student for life. Constantly learning but never applying. Learn as you go. Learn by making mistakes. Be unafraid of failure and be open to growth. Now is the time to chase your dreams and live your life to the fullest, no matter what that means for you. It might mean chasing your career and business goals. It might mean raising a family. It might be a life dedicated to serving the community. And it might be a life of abundance, travel and experiences. It might be eating the hot jam donut, and please save one for me too. Whatever that path is that you long to walk, I want you to leave today feeling motivated, empowered and ready to just start. What are you waiting for? Personally, it's taken me years to get to a point where I truly felt fearless and free to just give it a go, to pluck up the courage to write that book, do that course and launch a TV show. I don't always have all the answers, but I surround myself with others that are willing to help me find them. Sometimes we're building the plane mid-flight, and that's okay. Somehow we always manage to land. Our guests today all have their getting started stories to share with you. The highs, the lows, the breakthroughs. I can't wait for you to meet them. They're absolute students of life and a lesson in resilience, strength and vulnerability. Now, we want our audience to all be a part of this conversation, no matter where you're watching the show. Please let us know what you're loving about the show by connecting with us on Facebook or via our YouTube channel. We would love your thoughts and feedback. Okay, let's dive in. Our first guest today is the incredible Michelle Jones. Michelle is an absolute force to be reckoned with. She has well and truly lived multiple lives and definitely lives up to the mantra of seizing the moment. She's the founder and creator of the hugely successful Live Your Best Life business and life empowerment programs. She's a survivor of sexual abuse, 2 times Young Australian of the Year, author, educator, volunteer certified life coach, public speaker, cancer survivor, and if that wasn't enough, she also overcame a life-threatening bout of viral meningitis that saw her having to learn to walk and talk again. I mean, what an incredible woman. Please put your hands together for the incredible Michelle Jones.
If you come to your girlfriend's house, you have to bring flowers and champagne.
Flowers and champagne. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, they're gorgeous. Thank you. Wow.
This is you.
This is you. Oh, Michelle, there is so much we have to talk about. And quick backstory, Michelle and I have known each other for many, many years. And there have been a number of times that we were actually meant to meet. And the universe did not make that happen. So we were meant to meet right here on this set. And so all day the team have been amazing at keeping Michelle and I separated. So we didn't pass each other in the corridors so we could have a genuine connection. And now you're here.
And I'm so happy to be here with you.
So Michelle, I'd love to hear about the incredible work you're doing with Live Your Best Life. Tell us about it and how did you get started in it?
Wow. Okay, getting started was probably the easiest part. Staying has been the exhilarating part. At the age of 15, I was so very, very fortunate. My dad knew this thing called personal development. I was pretty well on a track, I would say, that was probably on a downward trajectory as a 15-year-old. That was just when I had literally announced to the family things that had happened throughout my life from 3 till 15, being abused by my stepfather. And I was a bit of a naughty kid. And Dad was like, you know what? I'm going to send you off to this wonderful program. It was called the Greatness in You program. And it was here not too far away on the Gold Coast. And it was 5 days fully immersed. And it was transformative, to say the least. I walked out of that room and I just knew from that very moment that Live Your Best Life was going to be something that I dedicated my life to for the rest of my life. I went, if this 5 days can change my life so much, imagine what I can do with that gift. And I walked out of there and I just never looked back. So Live Your Best Life has taken on its own life form and grown globally across the globe. It's connected and reached so many people. And it all started really coming to life as I connected it to the business side of things that I started out in. I've been coaching and mentoring people in business for a very, very long time now. And literally what I realise is that what runs in the person runs in the business and vice versa. So as much as people think they're getting business coaching and mentoring, eventually they realise that they have to take stock of what's within them in order for their business and all of their dreams to really start to thrive, come to life.
That's so true. They are connected and one without the other isn't possible.
It's not. No, it's not. And eventually they just have to merge. They have to unite. The expression of our business is quite often like a crazy Shar moment at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when you wake up and you just know that message on your heart has to come to life. Here we are on the Girlfriend Hour. I remember talking to you about this because we used to have so many wonderful conversations and we were like, this is what people need to hear. It's these real conversations behind what goes out there in the media. So then you said, well,
let's do a TV show.
Let's do a TV show. And here you are.
Living my best life.
Living your best life.
So your experience working with individuals as a coach and mentor, what would you say the number one thing is that's holding them back from truly living their best life?
Wow. Yeah, that's a really powerful question because really it's the essence of who they are and connecting the dots to the essence of who they are and being able to cast away all those stories that they've created about themselves along the way. Our life is really made up of a whole bunch of interactions and we attach beliefs and meanings to those interactions, and we literally create our own version of reality through that. So the biggest hurdle I find is people actually being able to either believe that they're worth it, that they're worthy, that they can truly live their best life. And I was listening to your intro just backstage, and I was like, you know what it is? It's being able to understand that they can be their own hero. Because you say about the car in the driveway, I often say that, you're not really going to hurt yourself too much if you're just lazing about on the couch. It's safe.
Yes.
Right? So I think in order to really extend ourselves into what it means to be human. Now, that means that we're going to get hurt.
That's really big. Talk to us about that, what it means to be human. That's a massive statement.
Well, I think that our humanness is downplayed, and I think that we try to potentially put it in its own little box rather than understanding what its power actually is.
Why? Why do we do that? Why do we shine and then think, oh no, let's tone it down a bit? Take us through why.
Yeah, well, because of all those experiences, I truly believe that the reason we don't is because we fear that we might make a mistake. We might look foolish.
Fall out on the way out.
Yeah, exactly.
Trip over the mat.
Who knows what it is, but we do immobilise ourselves in fear. But the duality of life literally means that on the other side of fear is the ultimate side of love. And I think to be fully expressed in love for ourselves and for others means that we have to actually get hurt along the way, right? That comes with trauma, that comes with experience, that comes with being on the other side of what got us to here is not going to get us to there. Yes. So people become stuck along the way because they literally if they're not thriving, they're surviving. And the true point of change occurs when we connect. We connect in three ways. We connect with ourselves, we connect with other humans, which is how we've been cohabiting on this planet. And what I have learned more than anything is having this vision in the future for yourself. Now, for some people, that might be in an hour. For some people, that might be in a week or 3 days. But for some people, it could be a little bit more out in the future. When we have something that literally speaks to us, that pulls us towards it, life has a whole other meaning. And once we start to feel that connection to self and others, and that little vision that just bubbles away over in the horizon, we start to realise that we can have a little bit more certainty, that we can trust, that we can believe. And then we find this sense of power within that just sort of rises up. A lot of people, they'll just swing here between survival, connecting, empowerment, survival, connecting, empowerment, and they just swing backwards and forwards.
Gosh, there's so much we could talk to around that topic, isn't there?
So much.
I know. I think that could be a whole show by itself. So one final question, Michelle, we like to ask is, what's one piece of advice you could give to your younger self?
That what you believe to be true right now doesn't have to be the truth for you. That on the other side of fear and shame and guilt, perhaps, is love. And if I just bring that back to that program that I went to when I was 15, I remember graduating and I was standing on a chair in the middle of the room and everyone was singing The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston to me. And I literally, for the first time in my life, really understood that right now I could change the trajectory of my life. And
what a moment.
Love was literally the antidote. You know, it was the magic cure or pill. Yeah. And up until then, I don't think I'd really understood that concept. And when we can bring that concept back into the core of who we truly are and let that emanate out, that's what life is about, is that connection force that allows us to reach the oneness of the universe, right? And otherwise we feel like we're quite alone.
Gosh.
So I would say to my younger self, go on your hero's journey and accept the call to adventure and do not look back. Just go through the chaos, enjoy all the mess, and on the other side of that, you'll have your own elixir and it will be your own best life, and whatever that means to you. I think the biggest thing that really resonates with me right now in these times is we know the day that we're born and it's measured on our first breath, right? But none of us actually know the day that we're going to take our last. And so it's that dash in between that is symbolic of our life. So that's why Live Your Best Life means so much to me, because it's the expression of what your best life is. And whatever that means to you, that becomes your dash. So
that's so profound. Oh my gosh, we could talk to you all day. Please don't go anywhere.
Okay.
We're definitely going to chat further. I'd love to introduce our next guest. She's a very clever, very wonderful Jenny Matthews. Jenny's life to date has been dedicated to helping people find their voice, from those with speech disorders, damaged voices, or those looking to become a better singer or public speaker. Jenny runs the Bayside Voice Centre and has 17 years of experience in this space. Please put your hands together and welcome Jenny to the Girlfriend Hour Lounge. Jenny, welcome.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks
like
for
you
having
matched
me.
the furniture. Did you two do a little text? What are you wearing? What are you wearing?
We did. We coordinated earlier.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
Jenny, you've been a speech therapist for 17 years now. What do you love about this line of work? What's it taught you?
I love that I can work with wonderful women to find their voice and their message can be heard, and communications, it's such an integral and unique part of our identity that when we make our communication as best as it can be, then we're able to have really positive relationships. It can enhance your career. You're able to stand up for yourself. It's just so important.
It's the power of voice, and introducing a voice therapist was not nervous at all.
No pressure.
When people think of speech therapy, they think about treating young children with speech disorders. But I love how your service expands to a much broader use, and one we often take for granted. Those that need their voice in a powerful way every day, like fitness instructors, teachers, coaches, even hospital workers. Can you tell us why does it matter so much that people truly find their authentic voice?
Well, and I have worked with children in doing those things as well, but my passion is drama, bit of a drama queen, and performing. And so I've, over the last 5 years at least, I've delved into that sort of niche area of voice, part of speech pathology. And so many of us need our voice for our jobs. And if something happens to it, that's where I can step in to, not only fix the issues, but also take your voice to the next level, so that, when you're communicating to do that presentation or performance, that, you can really shine.
Amazing. And something I'm curious, and maybe others are as well, can anyone become a singer and enter The Voice? And if so, can you sign me up? I've always wanted to sing, and I can't even sing in the shower.
Of course. I was listening to a researcher talk about the fact that it's just like singing is like any other skill, that you can hone your craft. And so, of course, there's going to be people that are predisposed to have amazing singing voices.
Not me.
But so many people, I think, have been told and maybe listened to that thing of you can't. But really, it's just like learning to walk or talk or drive, where the more that you practice, the better it gets. And so I step into, being able to support people with their pitch range, with their breath support, so that then they can turn heads or chairs for the voice, So that's part of what I love to do.
This would be the chair I'd sit on, because you can't turn this one. So that's what it'll happen with me. But you're free for the next 5 years to coach me. That's how long it'll take. You're a mother, a business partner, running a busy business, juggling. How do you do it?
Well, sometimes I just wish I could clone myself. But generally, when have the work hat on, it's acknowledging things that I don't like to do or am not very good at, and delegating and outsourcing those things where I can. And at home, it's just really important to takes a lot of planning and coordination with my husband and my children. It's been really lovely that they have recently recognised all of the things that I have done for them over the many years, but that they are now at the point of supporting me and said that it's my turn and, you know, to take the opportunities that are coming my way, and they're supporting me. So that's really lovely.
There was an ad on TV a few years ago where the partner thought that the other partner didn't do anything while they were at work, and so they decided to show them that what they do. So they did nothing, and it was chaotic. Have you ever wondered, maybe I should just do that, and then the dishes would pile up, the kids would be dirty, they'd be hungry, they'd be washing? Yeah.
Well, we do a lot of coordinating together on a Sunday night, so that, you know, we look at when the assignments are coming, what commitments we've got and who's going to be doing what, and then at the end of the day, when I'm at work, I sort of take a few moments to really reflect and write my to-do list, so that the next time I'm in that role or with that client, I don't have to waste all the mental energy of, oh, where was I at? What was I doing? I can just, you know, hit the ground running and, you know, go back into that with that hat on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And confidence isn't something we're all born with. I know you've got some experience here, but do you think it's something that can be a learned behaviour?
Yes. When I was in primary school, I believed that I was a slow learner, and I was so shy that I told the teacher that someone had stolen my assignment because I was so embarrassed and ashamed to tell them that I didn't know how to do it. But because I've had supportive friends and great guidance from drama teachers and wonderful opportunities to practice those performance skills, I am now a confident woman like yourself.
We all are, aren't we?
Yeah.
Inside there somewhere. What's been your biggest aha moment to date?
It's probably believing in myself and just actually knowing that I deserve to be here with these other inspiring women.
We're not allowed to cry. We've had our makeup
cry. I have makeup on. I've been telling my family.
Need girlfriend our tissues.
I do. I've been telling my family and my friends that, you know, I've been profiled in this magazine, and I'm in a book, and I'm on this show, and with these inspiring women. But I never really believed that I was one of them. So that's been a really nice realisation.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Now, it is the girlfriend hour, so we do have to ask, what do your girlfriends mean to you?
They are my energy. They are the reason I am doing what I am doing now and the person that I am today. They're amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing. We're going to have a quick chat about a topic that I think needs to be discussed further. So we're going to have what's called a D&M. Come with me, girls. Remember when you were a teenager and your girlfriends and guy friends would ask you to have a D&M? Well, it was so easy when we were kids for some reason, but as we get older, we tend to shy away from being vulnerable and getting deep. What's that? You want to have a deep and meaningful? Yes, but I just need to finish cleaning the bathroom first. And I think the dog needs defleeing all of a sudden. Well, there are some topics that deserve to be brought to light and discussed. It creates immediate empathy, support, and the ripple effect of those two things can be felt far and wide. And so this segment looks to do just that. Are you ready to dive deep with me, girls?
Ready?
This life is not a dress rehearsal. What are some of the stories you told yourself in the early days that stopped you from getting started?
Yeah, that I wasn't good enough. That's not for you. That's for everybody else. Yeah, that it wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't yours. You weren't the one to shine.
It's for someone else.
It's for someone else.
It's always for someone else. Like, no, I couldn't do that. No, that's reserved for other people.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah. What about you, Jen?
I've often given so much of my energy to everybody else that then I haven't had time for what I was passionate about, and I've ended up in a space where I've actually had vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue because I've put myself too much in other people's experience rather than letting them have this experience and do my own thing.
Yeah. And imposter syndrome, have you ever experienced this? How did it manifest? How did you overcome it? Oh, how long do we have?
Well, where do you even begin with imposter syndrome? Yeah, it's about continually staying in your safety zone, isn't it? Where does it begin? I really don't know where it begins. But I do know that when you feel it in every cell of your body at that time, and you truly believe that it's the truth. Yeah, like you do, until you actually see that there is just another way to be able to redefine or reshape the way that you are going to live.
And what do you think?
I think that, when you're in that moment, it can be so debilitating, and there are all these other reasons for, rather than acknowledging the positives and putting yourself in that growth mindset, so that you can actually step out of that syndrome.
And how do we overcome it? So what are some ideas we can brainstorm with everyone around how do we get through imposter syndrome? I know for me there's been many times where I've looked at something and again it's like, oh no, that's for the rich and famous, or that's for the celebrity, or that's for someone with blonde hair, not brown hair, and we can get really deep down that rabbit hole, can't we? So what are some of the things we can tell everyone that we've done personally that might be able to help them shift through to the place where you guys are really successful in business now? There's been a lot of those moments, and I'm guaranteeing all of us there's going to be a lot more. It doesn't end here. Tomorrow there'll be a new day and it'll be like, oh, here's more.
I know for me it was really connecting with what I was very passionate about. It's drama, it's theatre, it's voice. It's why had I been doing all of these other things that was just expected for all this time when I'm collaborating with the little girl getting ready for her high school interview, or the woman who's going through gender transition and wants to identify with her voice, or the lady whose voice is deteriorating and she can't catch up with her girlfriends anymore. That just it just makes me feel so happy. So when I reconnected with what I was passionate about, then I was able to let go of all of
the
that
stuff.
Yeah,
it's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you're carrying around all this extra baggage, and it's no different to when you travel. They charge you if you have excess baggage. I reckon in the day I would have been charged a lot because I used to drag these guys along with me. It's like they're coming, and we can't do that if we want to fly, right? It's too hard, too heavy.
I literally was the excess baggage girl. I completely relate to that. But really much like Jen said, I think it's about not ignoring the whispers. I think that there's always an inner voice that is there and it's speaking to you constantly. And sometimes we tell it to shush up and we put a little lid on it. Other times we ignore it altogether. And then just every now and then, if you just start to listen a little more deeply or a little more truthfully, then that passion just connects the voice, like the voice,
your true voice.
It comes out, and then that's where you have to either accept the call or refuse the call. So if you refuse, you'll be the car in the driveway or sitting on the couch, not doing much at all. But if you accept the call to adventure, you're going to embrace your own journey.
And what's the worst that can happen, right? Like we've all done it. It doesn't mean that everything you do is going to turn out. And that's okay. We need to get that point across. It's okay if it doesn't turn out. At least you tried. At least you tried. And I think that's the key thing to remember with imposter syndrome, that we all have it, we all experience it, we all go through it on a daily basis. But at least if you lay your head down at night, like I will tonight, and say, at least I tried. And did it work out perfectly? We'll see. But at least I tried. And I'm being me. I'm not trying to be anyone else. You're being you, Jenny. Mish, you're being you. And I think that's what the world needs from us, is for all of us to be our authentic selves.
100%.
Thank you so much for joining me on our first D&M and being on our show today. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, ladies, it's time for a little bit of fun. Who's ready to take a little spin in my flower garden? There are some fabulous prizes up for grabs. Here's how it works. I'm going to pick an audience member to come down and take a spin of the wheel, and where the wheel lands will be the prize that they will win. Fun, yes? Yay! Now, who can I see in the crowd that's giving me all the vibes and all the energy? Show me that you want to be here. Woo! All right, come on. You've taken it. Welcome to the set, Julia. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting. Hi, everybody.
Julia, did you bring a friend with you today?
I did. I'm very fortunate. I brought my beautiful friend Emma.
Oh, hello, beautiful friend Emma. Would you like to come down, please?
Yes, do, please. Yay.
Give her a round of applause. Julia, would you like to have a little spin of our wheel, please?
I would love to. Can I give you this? All right.
All right. So what number? You don't even know the prizes, but what's your favourite number?
7.
7. Okay. We're all going to help her get 7, right? Send her good energy. Okay. So go your heart. Do we want to start it on? We'll start it on the grand prize.
Oh, okay. All right.
Unless you want the grand prize.
Do we do a big spin or a little spin?
Big spin. All right. Let's go. Woo! Oh, it's not a booby prize. It's a gorgeous, we've landed on number 4. It's a beautiful candle gift pack.
Oh, I love candles.
Yay! Pleasure. Here it is.
And there's 2 in there?
And Emma, because we're girlfriends and no one leaves the girlfriend hour without something, here's an umbrella by one of our sponsors, Joseph Ribkoff.
Oh, beautiful.
Yay! Give them a round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you so much. And we'll be right back after this. Thank you.
It's never too late to become a cover girl. We're looking for incredible women to be profiled in our upcoming issue of Feminessence Magazine. Share your story with an international audience, unlock new opportunities, inspire a new network of supporters. It's time to back yourself. We can't wait to hear about the magic that is you. Visit feminessence.com.au to find out more. Come on, what are you waiting for? Carpe diem, girlfriend.
Our next girlfriend, our guest, needs no introduction. She's the author of not 1, not 2, but 9 New York Times best-selling and award-winning books, and the co-author of 2 Chicken Soap for the Soul books that sold 500 million copies. Talk about overachiever. She's an incredible businesswoman and even has the very coveted achievement of stealing a kiss with the one and only Elvis Presley. Yes, girlfriends, we are talking about the wonderful, the amazing godmother of chicken soup books, Diana von Wellenitz Wentworth. This is a pinch myself moment, being able to chat with one of my all-time idols. Diana joins us via Zoom. Please give her a warm Zoom welcome.
Hi, everybody. Oh, what an exciting thing to be a part of. I'm so excited about this.
We are so excited to have you. Diana, here at the Girlfriend Hour, we reflect a lot on purpose and finding your purpose. Was there a specific moment or event or experience that set you on the path of coaching and writing?
Well, you know, I didn't know it at the time, but what I loved was cooking, and I especially loved gathering people around the table. There was something about the energy of that, but I thought it was about the food. So my first career really had to do with cooking and entertaining. And so I was writing recipes and, you know, things like that. And Martha Stewart and I were considered the East and West Coast experts on entertaining in those days. And my late husband, Paul von Wellnitz, and I had a wonderful cooking show. We had a school on Sunset Boulevard on the Sunset Strip where Wolfgang Puck would teach his classes. and we wrote 6 cookbooks. And then we had to reinvent ourselves, as I've had to do many times in my life.
Oh my gosh, you certainly have. Now, I've been dying to ask you, tell us about that kiss.
Oh, well, it was really quite magical because it gave me a clue to inner listening, which has been my greatest skill as a woman. I was in a sorority at UCLA, and one day I asked the sorority sisters to turn the music down, and I said, can you just turn that down? And somebody said, oh, Diana doesn't like Elvis Presley. And there was this kind of moment of, I don't know what it was, but it just stopped me in my tracks. And I said, actually, I do like him, and I'm going to date him someday. And they were shocked. I was shocked that I said such a thing. I mean, where did that even come from? But 2 months later, my mother took me to Paris. We were going on a cook's tour. I'd never been there before, and we were staying in a hotel called the Prince de Galles. And one of the kids on the tour came running up to me and said, Diana, Elvis Presley's in the dining room. And I'm too scared to ask him for an autograph. So I said, oh, well, come with me. I went in the dining room. There was nobody there but Elvis and these 2 bodyguards. He was in his army uniform. It was his first leave from Germany. And he had come to Paris. And I'm going to make this story really short because there's a lot to it, actually. But long story short, he asked my mother if he could take me that night to the Lido nightclub. Ooh. And I think he really just needed a girl on his arm because he would have been torn to shreds. You know how handsome he was. And in his army uniform, twice that handsome. And it was just heavenly. He was holding my hand as we went in, and the press was there, and it was just crazy. And then afterwards, I went to his room, and he sang the song Fascination from the Le Moulin Rouge, because that's where we had gone earlier that evening. So, yeah, there was a kiss there, and then I got to see him many more times over the next 2 years, and I have letters from him. But you know, the thing was, this is the thing. How did I know that? And I realized in looking back over my very long life that I have had these inner promptings or messages that I paid attention to, especially because of that one. I knew that I could trust my inner knowing after I'd said I was going to kiss him, and I did, or date him. And so I've had this super magical life, and I've been in the right place at the right time, and I'm here tonight at the very right time for you, Shar.
Oh, you really are, and I'm so honoured to have you here. Diana, what's been one of your most memorable stories featured in the Chicken Soup for the Soul series? Why do you love it so much?
Oh, it was very precious. You know, everybody thought Chicken Soup for the Soul was a cookbook in the beginning because of the title, and of course it wasn't. And so because of my past, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, who I was in the presence of them both when they decided to do the book. They decided that I had to write the cookbook. And so the very first story in the book takes place on Thanksgiving. And my mother said to me, she said, here, come with me. And she pulled me into the pantry and she says, I want to tell you something. You have to make me a promise. And I said, what? She said, I want you to promise me that when I'm gone, you will never, ever feel guilty about me. You've been a wonderful daughter. There's nothing I would change about you. And I've spent my whole life being guilty about my own mother. So you have to make me that promise. And I thought, what greater gift could a mother give a daughter? And besides, she had amnesia about what a problem child I was.
Oh my gosh, that is just beautiful. Diana, what's your go-to physical activity? How do you love to move your body?
Well, this year, at my advanced age, I made a goal of really upping my physicality. And I live in Palm Springs where it's 111 degrees here today. And so I don't go out walking, but I am a certified yoga teacher. And I do yoga, I do Qigong with somebody I watch on YouTube. And I run around the house. And I do squats, and I made a deal with myself that I would do at least one series of these exercises every day. and I keep track of my steps. And I think, well, that's probably enough right now, but I try to do everything I can. I take swim classes, and it's really important for me to keep my energy and my stamina up, you know?
That's enough. You're saying that's enough right now. Oh my gosh, does anyone else do that level? I'm listening to that going, I don't do most of that. That's amazing. And you and your late husband, Paul, were not only married, but for a very long time, but you're also close business partners. And my husband, Russ, and I have been married 30 years, and we've worked together for a few companies, and now we run our business together, and we have our moments, let's just say. And, you know, he's noisy typing from the office. He types very loudly with one finger. I have to close my door, his door, and put headphones in. Tell us about some of the things or challenges or interesting moments that you had working with Paul.
Oh gosh, well, Paul was an artist, and Paul didn't particularly like the limelight. So in 1985, when women went into the workforce, women didn't want to spend 3 days cooking dinner anymore, and our whole career fell apart. And so we were invited into the Soviet Union with a group of leaders, Barbara Marx Hubbard and Dennis Weaver, and all these people who went there to make a documentary. And I noticed that everybody was sharing resources. They were still gathered around the table. And I said to Paul, we don't have to cook the food to gather the people around the table. And so it was so great because he was mechanical. He could carry all the sound equipment, and we started the Inside Edge, which was a very early morning breakfast club. And Jack Canfield and Barbara DeAngelis and Mark Victor Hansen and Louise Hay and Susan Jeffers, all of these people hadn't written books yet. And they all joined the Inside Edge, and a lot of them attributed their careers to what happened there, that they made the right connections.
I just love to stop you there, Diana, because I think that, you know, rolling those names off your tongue so naturally, and we're sitting here going, Louise Hayes, Mark Victor Hansen, it's like, yeah, just like, oh yeah, that's where we all got together. That's such a big moment. I know you and I have had this chat before, and you were saying we all sat around and they're turning up with little manuscripts or a little journal, you said, and they had all these ideas of maybe I should do this, and now they're famous people that we all look up to.
So famous, those people. And I used to give parties that you had to show up as who you were going to be in 5 years, and it was really confronting.
What a great idea. I love that.
Yeah, it was really exciting. And there was one woman who was writing a book, and she showed up in a limousine with 3 mock books. And she said she just returned from her 3rd New York Times bestseller tour.
Wow.
And she actually achieved that. That was Dr. Susan Jeffers, who wrote Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Oh. Right, we need to have a girlfriend hour party. Who are you going to be in 5 years? Who think that's a great idea? You've got to come out, Diana. You have to come out to Australia for that.
Okay, pay my way out there.
Oh, tell us more. That's so exciting.
It was really exciting. And Jack Canfield recently at our 30th anniversary said that he had used that 5-year ahead party theme for every training he has done in the past 30 years. And so does Dr. Joe Dispenza and everything. So I take credit for the idea of doing that very confronting thing and just showing up and being there and just imagining the whole thing, which really creates a lot of magic.
Oh, you should take credit for it. It's amazing. And isn't it, tell us, when you were going through that moment of putting that idea together, did you have any doubts of, oh, maybe this won't work, but I'll try it anyway? Like, what was going through your mind?
Well, I started small. The first one we gave in somebody's home, but the second one, the next year, we did on the Queen Mary. And the people who were too scared to do it dressed up like they were paparazzi. And so when people got out of their cars, they had all these light bulbs going off and flashes and everything. And it gave everybody this feeling that this was real, you know. It became quite the thing and brought a lot of people into the Inside Edge, too, that probably wouldn't have joined otherwise. So it was thrilling. And Paul was just the best. You know, in answering your question, Paul was such a handsome, gorgeous, divine man. And we had this 25-year marriage before he passed of cancer. And I just have been so blessed to have romantic love in my life, because that was what I wanted when I came into this world more than anything.
Oh, and he's been your great love. Can you share with us the story behind the book, Send Me Someone, and what compelled you to write about this experience?
Oh, I could not write about it. It was so amazing, because maybe a week before Paul passed, he suddenly said, I don't want you to be alone. And it surprised me so much that I said, send me someone. And he said, I will. And so I wrote a book called Send Me Someone. And it's the story of how 2 months after Paul passed, a man walked into the Inside Edge. And the story is amazing, because we were married 6 months after that. And I was married to Ted Wentworth for 31 years. And he was my soulmate in my later life. And Paul was my soulmate in my early life. So
Aww.
I've only been alone now for a whole year.
You are the master manifester, my friend. You really are.
I am. I'm telling everybody to expect magic, and they'll get it.
Absolutely. As this is the Girlfriend Hour, Diana, I'd love to ask you, what do your girlfriends mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Always. I've loved girlfriends. And I've just started a business with a partner who had been the president of the Inside Edge to create wisdom circles for women who want to create an encore in their life. And my whole life is about encore right now. I'm 81 years old, and it's time for me to do this fantastic encore. And I want to take people along with me on this journey of what could be the most wild and outrageous and wonderful thing that we could create as a legacy and as a great finale. So that's really what I'm all up to now. And women just sitting around sharing at the deepest level, not just sitting around a table and talking about clothing and the weather and where they get their hair done, but talking about the most meaningful parts of their lives, being vulnerable. I always say that vulnerability is a superpower, and women are willing to go there with other women. And I think many of my most growthful moments have been in the company of women that I adore and who support me in all the best kind of ways. And I love to do that in return.
Oh, amazing. And that's exactly what we're trying to create here on the Girlfriend Hour. Diana, so we're going to jump into a fun little section called Time Out. So has anyone else missed the excitement and wonder of travel these past couple of years since the pandemic has left us grounded? I certainly have. But I'm a next level kind of travel crazy. My friends know this about me, but I actually don't go anywhere without my passport and a spare pair of knickers in my handbag in case I get the urge to get on a plane and go wandering. Seriously. These past couple of years have been so challenging, knowing I can't just take off on a spontaneous trip. And so as borders open, we're getting more excited about travelling. I'm going to be asking our guests today to share their tidbits on travel, memorable experiences, favourite places to go, hilarious mid-flight stories, you name it. Welcome to Time Out. So, Diana, rapid fire travel questions for you. Favourite city?
Favorite city? Oh, I was hoping you'd ask me my favorite travel experience.
We're getting there.
Okay, Paris.
Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Most romantic travel memory?
Okay, here. I was on a trip to Asia with my parents. I was 21 years old. We were on our first day in Hong Kong. I woke up really early in the morning, got all dressed up for some reason, I didn't know why, went down and stood in the lobby like at 6:30 in the morning, wondering what I was doing there. The restaurant wasn't even open. And the elevator door opened and out walked Paul von Welemitz. And we were engaged 3 days later.
Oh. Wow. Okay, best shopping.
Best shopping. Oh my God. Hong Kong was amazing. You could have these dresses made for you within hours. It was incredible. You would take just something to show them, and they had all sorts of fabrics. Oh, I think that was my favorite.
Okay, most memorable mid-air moment.
Oh,
That you can share on TV.
You don't need to know that. Elvis wasn't there.
Okay, beep, beep. Okay, best meal ever.
Oh, best meal ever was at the herb farm in the state of Washington. 9 courses, 9 wines.
Oh.
And the chefs were explaining all the way through. I mean, it took 4 hours. It was, every single thing was magnificent. I'll never forget it. And then the next week, we went to the French Laundry, where lunch was $800. And this dinner had been $400. And I tell you that the herb farm won that one.
Oh, there you go. Most awe-inspiring landmark.
Oh, I suppose it was Ted and I used to take what we called the road trip to surrender. We would only know the first place we were going to land, and we would go. We did one that was 8,000 miles, and every morning we'd say, "Where shall we go?" And I think Mount Rushmore was so surprising to actually be there and see that. It was incredible.
Oh.
Or Yosemite, where Ted proposed in the Ahwahnee Hotel in front of the window there. Yeah, that was good.
Wow. Okay. Oh. Which country has the friendliest people? Australia.
You know, when I went to Japan when I was really young, I was really surprised. Of course, they hadn't seen somebody who was 5'9" wearing a kimono. There wasn't much travel in those days, but people would just come up and touch me, and like I was some kind of statue or something. And it was just felt really weird, but I thought it was so sweet. It left me feeling like a movie star or something.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
Getting personal here. Toilet, squat or Western?
Oh, please. No, there's no contest. Have you ever dropped a shoe down one of those things? That was the worst.
In certain countries, snakes actually come out from the bottom. And I've been in one of them. Okay. What's your favourite foreign word that you can say on the show?
Pajausta.
Oh, okay.
It was the only word I knew in Russian, and it means please and thank you. And I was carrying a little doll in the Soviet Union on the metro, and my job was to give it away to a child because we were being filmed. And I chose a child, and I held it out to her, and she shrank back. She was so scared. And then I held it out to the mother, and I said, Pajausta, which means please and you are welcome. And the mother and the father stood up and put their hand on their hearts and took the doll. And it was just, I just couldn't, my feet didn't touch the ground afterwards.
Oh.
Paul said, you will be known as the Madonna of the Metro.
Absolutely. You have the best stories. Okay, so when you're travelling, final question, when you're travelling, who contacts you the most from home?
Well, I have been in lockdown so long. I finally went to Hawaii, but I always had my husbands with me. So, I can't think of who. My daughter, probably, my beautiful daughter, Lexi, who is staying with me right now. And she's going to help me get my house all organized, because now that I don't have a husband, I need to create this sacred space for me, just as a sovereign woman, to see what that looks like for a while.
Oh, amazing. Diana, I would love to thank you so much for being our first international guest on the Girlfriend Hour Lounge. It's been my absolute honour and delight to have you here. You've been an icon of mine forever, and to have you here as honouring us, all of our girlfriends here in the room, with your magical stories. Keep being you, and we hope to have you back on the show again. Please give Diana a beautiful warm welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Torch is dedicated to shining a light on lesser known topics, organisations or even events. There are so many incredible people in our community doing wondrous things and providing a voice that may be marginalised or in need of extra care and attention. And the Girlfriend Hour is all about helping support and raise awareness of these initiatives. Our Torch segment guest is the incredible Donna Aston. Donna has been an entrepreneur since she was just 15 years old. She runs an incredibly successful business helping women and men achieve long-standing nutrition and weight loss goals. Donna is no stranger to adversity though. She has remained resilient through the heartbreak of a sudden marriage breakdown. She has a chronic back injury that she manages on a daily basis. Donna's passion and positivity is infectious, and like the Girlfriend Hour, her purpose is clear: to empower women and help them be the best versions of themselves. I can't wait to shine a light on all that she is and all that she does. Please put your hands together for the amazing Donna Aston. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we can't wait to get to know you and all that you bring to the universe. So please tell us about Aston RX program and what makes it unique.
Aston RX is an online program for health and weight loss, but the thing that makes it unique is that most people struggling to control their weight actually have a lot of metabolic dysfunction. So rather than putting a Band-Aid on the symptom of that, which is weight gain, we actually work on their actual metabolic profile, and we start with pathology testing, and so we can then really accurately identify what's going on, and then we actually educate people to be able to manage this themselves for a lifetime, and then the result of that is basically a side effect of rapid fat loss.
Amazing. And are you allowed to reveal any of the celebrity clients that you've worked with and what results they got?
Sure, not a lot of them. I've worked with a lot of high-profile people, both people that you would know as a celebrity and also people in business. I've worked with Simon Cowell. Most people would know Simon.
Yes.
And Sigrid Thornton, who's a very popular Australian actress. I got her ready for the Blue Room, which was, she had to be naked on stage, which was frightening.
Yeah, I'm never doing that.
So there's been, a lot of actors and people that I get ready for different events.
Amazing. And was there a moment or event in your life that led you down the path of health and nutrition? Where does this passion come from?
Two places really. I was 25 kilos heavier than I am now. So I guess that's where I started, was trying on my journey to find out how to improve my own health. And so I really understand and have empathy for the process of losing weight. I'm not someone who was born skinny. So
Welcome to the club, anyone else?
And also I used to be a beauty therapist, and I was dealing with a lot of people who had acne and different health issues that were clearly not going to be fixed with topical creams and treatments. So I really wanted to get into the inside and the microbiome and all of these things that have an enormous effect on our health and our skin. So that's really where it started.
Gosh, that's amazing. And tell us about your back injury. How does it affect your everyday life and what happened?
I fell off a horse when I was about 16. And I didn't think as much of it then, but obviously did some damage to 2 discs in my back. And I've managed it over the years. It flares up a little bit and I sort of manage it. But about 3 years ago, I ignored a lot of signs in hindsight that it was really starting to deteriorate, and I ended up in a really debilitating state. So I set my alarm at 3 a.m. to get out of bed by 6. because I literally couldn't move until I'd gone through a whole series of movements to actually get out of bed. I've passed out from the pain. Anyone who's had a back injury will know it's not like having a sore shoulder or a sore knee. I literally couldn't breathe when it was that bad. And so, I went down that medical route that a lot of people do of having cortisone injections and different things to kill off nerves in my back and all sorts of things, and came back really to what I know, which is good nutrition for anti-inflammatory purposes. And also, I really do need to keep my weight in a healthy range, because if you gain weight, that really impacts your joints as well. So I just manage it.
Oh my gosh, that's such a story. Wow, to live with that all the time. And from your experience, what do you think are the main reasons that women stop believing in themselves? Because there's this point where all of us go through, up and down weight fluctuations, children, hormones and stress, anxiety. Sometimes we do it as a protective mechanism. But why do you think people stop believing themselves when they've got this weight on, they're not feeling their best? So what do you think?
I just think there are so many confusing programs and diets and exercise regimes, and even the experts can't agree with each other. So how is anybody supposed to figure out how you do it properly? And I think people blame themselves for failing time and time again at different diets in an attempt to lose weight. And it's the diet that's the problem. It's the wrong information we're being given, and then we kick ourselves in the head for not being able to follow the wrong information. And over time, I just think it wears people down. And so that's really why I created our program, is to really give people the empowerment or the education to be able to do this for the rest of their life.
So it's a sustainable program, because diets, yo-yo diets, I've heard it all. I know I've been on plenty in my day, and then the moment it's over, it's like straight to the hot donut shop, anyone? And that's what you've created, a program that's sustainable and it's tailored to each individual body. Yes. Amazing. As this is a girlfriend hour, tell me, how do you celebrate friendships with your girlfriends?
Just grabbing time, making time, not finding it, because it's very rare to find time, particularly when you run your own business, as you know. Yes. So I think it's really important to make time, even if you think you don't have it. Yes. And that really is all it takes, just really making time to make people feel important and sharing your life and stories with them.
So true. And I heard somewhere recently that, and I've heard it before, but when you hear something and then all of a sudden you hear it, and it was, if people can't be heard, they can't be seen.
Yeah.
And sometimes a girlfriend, and many of my girlfriends here today know that sometimes I just want to talk and I just want to be heard. I don't often need them for a solution, but that's okay too. But I just want to be heard and seen. And then I feel validated, like all humans. So Donna, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And the torch is all about shining the light on great people and great businesses doing great things in the world. So thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, my beautiful girlfriends, that brings us to the end of our very first Girlfriend Hour. How do you feel? Do you feel ready to start that thing you've been meaning to start? Do you feel excited about the possibilities that lie ahead? I really hope you found some of our couch chats today inspirational and empowering. As I mentioned at the start of the show, sometimes you just need to start by starting. Take this show, for instance. 12 months ago, this was just a seed of an idea, but I just couldn't get it out of my head. And so little by little, I started to chip away at a plan, assembled a team of savvy supporters, and together we've managed to make it happen. So let this be your gentle kick up the tush to get started today. Just pick one thing to do to move you forward. That's it. Just one thing. Thank you so much to Joseph Ribkoff for styling me, Be Styled for Life, our major sponsor Feminessence Magazine, and our brilliant production crew for making today possible. And thank you all for watching. All right, girlfriends, see you next time on the Girlfriend Hour.